Hi, welcome to another video about messing around with old tech stuff. This one's going to be pretty quick. I'm just going to go over how to replace capacitors with this little example I have. This is a daughter board off of my TIAC A480 from 1978. It's a vintage cassette deck. And here you can see I'm heating up both leads of that capacitor there with one go. I'm using an angled chisel tip on a 60 watt soldering iron to do that. Next step, we've got some soldering wick. Just that's the perfect thing to get solder off these boards, prep them for the new capacitor. If you use a vacuum sucker, those can actually lift the traces off these vintage boards, so strongly suggest you use soldering wick instead. Here we're taking a look at the capacitor. You can see it's 1047. So those are the specs for the cap. So now I'm selecting one from my list of capacitors, and you can see the capacitor I'm putting in is 10 microfarads and 50 volts. So 50 volts is perfect for something that was originally 47. It's always fine to go over the original voltage rating. You can see there, the old one was 1047, this one's 1050. And now this is a little weird because I've already replaced the cap on the other side there. That's actually the right-hand side we're looking at now, and we can see that that cap's been replaced, but it's different than this one that I just put in. So right now I'm trying to figure out what is going on. I must have replaced the old one with the wrong cap because, I mean, obviously the new one's 1047. I'm replacing it with the 1050 and that'll work. So what's going on? And yes, it looks like I finally put two and two together and realized that the old capacitor just happened to have the voltage and the microfarads in a different orientation or a different grouping. So they were backwards, where it's actually 47 microfarads and 10 volts that's needed. And so I finally figured that out, and thank goodness that I did, because if I hadn't, then this whole part, if not the entire deck, could have been damaged by mixing up those capacitors. So it's a good thing that in this case where I got it wrong, I had something to immediately check it against. Now soldering up, this is I actually got a good view on this, so you can see how when you're using a nice leaded solder where everything's nice and clean, there's a nice amount of flux already on the board thanks to that wick that I used to desolder. How everything just goes together very nicely. You can see how quick and easy that was. Now we just need to clip off these little leads and we're done. So unless you make a dumb mistake, which can be avoided simply by double checking and making sure you're looking things over a couple times, this really isn't very hard, especially if you're working on a separate daughter board like this.